Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Friday. It's November 15th. It is 2024. We have a 10-game NBA slate to talk about here on today's podcast, joined as always by my good buddy, Will Priester, ChiefJustice06. Chief, we get to talk NBA Cup Part 2. Still in the group stage, and I think we were pretty on it the other night when it came to NBA and the NBA Cup. We saw tighter rotations. We saw exactly everything, meaningful games in November, and it was fantastic. I'm ready to kick off Friday night.
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely excited about it. As I texted you the other night and brought up pre-show, I mean, my God, the Magic just pretty much took the Hornets out of the cup before it even got started. Huge. I mean, I was looking at the game and I said, man, we're not getting out of this group stage. I mean, we would have to win our next game by probably 30 and win out to get in. I just don't see it. Magic, how about that? 114 of 89. Pistons, and this was the big one for me. Pistons beat the Heat. I know they didn't have Jimmy Butler, but you know, I've been high on Cade Cunningham. Pistons beat the Heat. Hawks beat the Celtics. That was another big one. And so
meaningful games in November.
Yeah, but the biggest one of them all, Curry closes this thing out against Dallas. Like, bro, it's just so many like really good moments out of those first set of games. So I'm excited for DFS and the real part of what we're going to see tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, I was climbing tournaments on Tuesday night with my Clay, Draymond, and Steph teams. Draymond, he had that famous like 7-6-11 type game. We saw Curry put up 37 and 9. So wild first night of the NBA Cup. I mean, again, I'm excited for this thing. It's really hard for me to get excited about basketball in November. The NBA Cup changes that. I am super excited for the NBA Cup. Portland beating Minnesota, Orlando beating Charlotte, like you mentioned, the Hawks beating the Celtics, Detroit beating Miami. Just wild. I mean, the Knicks beating the 76ers, kind of, Cat taking over that game a little bit. We saw a big game from him. So, yeah, ready for this NBA Cup slate, and let's break it down. We got 10 games to go through here, and we get started with Miami at Indiana taking on the Pacers, 227.5. Indiana, 4-point favorite. Jimmy Butler out for Miami. And then on the Pacers side, Jackson, Nembhard, Nesmith, and Wiseman out. Let's start with the Miami side. We talked about Jimmy Butler being out the other day. Tyler Hero took 27 shots against Detroit. He had 40 actual points. He's only 7,800 going up against the Pacers. Right off the bat, we have one of the top plays on the entire slate.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, I thought Terry Rozier was really going to have kind of a big impact in this game, Stephen. Now, look, I'm not going to ignore him.
40 minutes.
Exactly. He played 40 minutes. He took 14 shots. He shot 21%, Stevie. He hits 5 more buckets. That's 8 for 14. 3 more buckets, 6 for 4. Like, I still think Terry's got some value here. So I don't want to overlook him. Hero, obviously, is the guy that we want to get to. But I did want to mention Terry. The minutes were absolutely there. We talked about, like we said, Hero being the main guy, and he definitely is the main guy. I wanted to see what they did with Kevin Love. He played limited minutes, which is what we thought, Stevie. But I still want to see how they would do it. But the main guys, Bam, continued to play. I want to see how they handle Hawkins. He played 25 minutes. I figured that's about where he would be. They started Hayward Highsmith. He played 36 minutes in that game. He's 4,500.
They did go to overtime, though. He did play all 5 minutes in overtime for what it's worth on Highsmith.
Yeah, but he still would have been to 30. So I'm okay with that. Jovic barely played in that game. So I think we've got a good idea of, kind of what they're planning to do without Jimmy Butler. Obviously, we also saw Duncan Robinson play big minutes. He's 3,900. So I think for how we feel like Miami plays basketball, that's one thing. But they've got tremendous opportunity with about 5 to 6 guys that are going to play 30-plus minutes.
Yeah, I think you start with Tyler Hero. I think you look at Bam potentially. I don't love Bam, but I think you look at Bam. And then you mentioned all the value guys. You have Highsmith, who should play minutes. Robinson at 3,900, 31 minutes the other night, if that game didn't go to overtime. So that's just fantastic. Robinson did play all 5 minutes in overtime. So, yeah, I mean, Tyler Hero had 60 fantasy points at regulation. So his ceiling is just incredibly high, especially for his price. Let's go to the Pacers side. What do we like here for the Pacers?
Not going to get me with the mutes tonight, Stevie. I made sure I unmuted myself after a cough and a small water sip. Bringing it down to the Pacers. One of the things I've been impressed about with the Pacers is Miles Turner. Because in the past, Stevie, I feel like Miles Turner has been a high to mid-20s minutes guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he would be playing 26 to 28 minutes. This season so far, I feel like he's more of a 32 to 35 minute guy. That has me very excited. So I wanted to mention him at 6,900. Not saying he's going off tonight, but the minutes increase has definitely helped his upside. So I am okay with him at that price. Siakam at 7,400. I'm fine with that. I think the price is reasonable enough. This is a guy that I think can go and get 50. Not going to be every night anymore because he's got so much more help than what he had in Toronto, even though he's been there for a season and part of this season now. But I still think that price is reasonable. Halliburton just sticking at 8K this season. And, I mean, in the past 5 games, he's had a 55-point game and a 65-point game. At 8K, I'm in. So, want to go there. And then Mathurin, I feel like in my mind, you think Benedict Mathurin is 6,200. That should be enough. Stevie, it's not enough. This man is going out here putting up 30-plus in every game with upside, as we've seen, Steve, for 50. Upside for high 30s, mid-40s, 6,200, I'm in.
Yeah, I love that little combo, right? Just Hero and Mathurin and try to get the guys that are going to shoot the ball a lot in this game kind of matchup. I mean, you brought up a lot of the same points that I was going to bring up. Halliburton at 8K, huge ceiling in this spot. His floor is not very high, so I think his floor is probably like 25, 30. But his ceiling 60 plus at 8K. Siakam, like you said, he just doesn't need to do as much. Like he's going to have games where he goes for 50. I don't know how many games with everybody healthy he'll go for 60. So I probably look elsewhere, but Mathurin would be my favorite target here from the Pacers. We head to Orlando. We got Philadelphia heading to Orlando to face my Magic. 213.5 total. Orlando, a 1-point favorite. Drummond questionable. Maxey out. Paulo and Wendell Carter Jr. still out for Orlando. Let's start here with the Philadelphia side. I mean, Joel Embiid came back, played 26 minutes. I don't know if we get Joel Embiid playing 35 minutes here. I assume that he probably plays maybe a couple extra minutes, but nothing I really want to bet on. Paul George with Embiid back the other night actually had a really good game. He had 7 threes. He just was balling out. And our boy Jared McCain, he has just looked incredible with Maxey out, over 30 fantasy points in 3 straight games. Definitely going to take a usage hit with Embiid on the court. We saw the other night when Embiid was off the court, he just hit I think his usage was like, I'm pulling it up, 35.9%. So it was 30% with Embiid in that Knicks game, 35.9%, career high 34 points. What are you looking at here on Philly going up against Orlando?
What I'm looking at is how does Philly keep finding these guards that could just pour in the points? My gosh, whoever's scouting over there for their guard play, Steve, is doing a heck of a job. Kudos to you guys. At this point, McCain at 5,500 is probably not right where he should be for the role he's going to have while Maxey is out. I don't think he'll get as much ownership. Maybe I'm wrong, Stevie, but at 5,500, I do feel like he doesn't get the ownership. So, I'm in on playing him. I know Paul George had a big game. I think I'll still take another wait and see approach with him. But he is going to play more minutes than Embiid, which is tricky because, no Maxey does suggest he should be kind of a primary option, if that makes sense, Stevie, because Embiid isn't going to play as many minutes. So I still think I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach, but I was encouraged by the fact that, he took the shots, and he took 18 shots in the Charlotte game. He just wasn't as efficient, Stevie. So, 4 more. He took 19 shots in the Knicks game, 18 shots in the Charlotte game, 6 for 18 and 10 for 19. Big difference in the scoring when you go 7 of 11 from 3. You know what I'm saying? So, him scoring at a much more efficient clip helped the score. And imagine if he had just 10 more points in that Charlotte game. He's around 45. So, Stanley Sugarman.
Oh, that was so good. I don't know if anybody has YouTube up right now, but I was laughing. Oh, that was
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That was so good.
Yeah,
I mean, just looking at the Knicks game, right? Embiid had a 28% usage rate. We talked about McCain. He had a 30% usage rate, and good old Paul George, he had a 33.5% usage rate. He had his best game of the season. He was 0.4% owned in that Knicks game. So I do think there's some upside with Paul George. I don't want him to play Embiid, and I'm like really interested to see like the projected ownership for McCain, but kind of want to play a little bit of Paul George in this spot. Nothing too crazy because the Magic are very good at defense. So, like, if I play 3 teams, Paul George will probably be on one of the 3. The guy, I mean, Yubasele, I talked about him a lot the other day on the expert survey. Absolutely loved him. And then Paul George got ruled out too. He was a guy that I think you could play with Embiid out. If Drummond sits, you could potentially get 20 to 25 minutes out of him. He's a hustle player. I do like his ceiling, but he's a little bit more expensive here at 5,100 now. He was like 43. Yeah, 43 the other night. So I don't want to necessarily get a lot of him with Embiid and Paul George coming back. Orlando. Franz Wagner is balling. This dude, he's like, all right, well, Paulo's out. I got to play basketball now. 20 or more shot attempts in 4 of his last 5 games. We saw him the other night against Charlotte shoot 25 times, put up 32 actual points, was doing it all, like meaningful games in November, man. What do we like here for the Magic?
Well, Stevie, I've been on Jalen Suggs, and maybe it's time for me to just give that up. I feel like I'm pod committed, and at some point
he shot 13% from the field the other night, though. He took 15 shots, played 38 minutes. You got everything you wanted out of Jalen Suggs, except for him making 5 extra shots and putting up 35 fantasy points. So, like, I don't want to necessarily say that, like, you were wrong on him. But, yeah, I mean,
if he goes 8 for 15.
Right.
He's
you're at 35. You're at 35 fantasy points again. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm still in at 7,100 because now we've got even a little bit more meat on the bone. I have been encouraged by the shot attempts, so that's been really good. I think I'm still in there. Obviously, Franz has been priced up. I took a shot on Casey.
And really, really quick, not to like interrupt you, but when you like Suggs against Charlotte, like he didn't play the 4th quarter. I mean, we were beating you guys so bad. Like, you got 35 fantasy points from Suggs in the first 3 quarters. So, like, I don't think like you were wrong by Jalen Suggs. It's just like Goga. Like, I played a ton of Goga on Tuesday, and he just didn't need to come back in the game. Like, he got into foul trouble in the first quarter. He only played like 3 minutes in the first quarter, and it didn't, like, you never got to catch up because the game was just so out of hand.
Yeah, for sure. So, back at it with Suggs. I mean, like, Goga's 5,300, and I mean, are they ever going to price him up? I don't understand. Now, he is facing Embiid for a part of this game. I get it, but I actually still think he's fine. I'm not actually worried yet at that price. So I'm probably most afraid of Franz, but I mean, if he's going to take 20 to 25 shots a game at that price, Stevie, that's Anthony Edwards, that's Devin Booker, that's Steph Curry. Like that's basically what you're getting for 8,800. Donovan Mitchell when he's shooting well. So I'm actually okay with Franz.
I have one more player from the Magic, but he's my Let's Get Weird GPP play. So we'll talk about him when we go to the morning grind game because I don't want Will to steal my play. You can know the team, but you can't know who it is. All right. Detroit at Toronto, 224.5 total here. Detroit a 1-point favorite. Fontecchio and Hardaway doubtful. Ivy questionable. Thompson out. Toronto, Barnes, Brown, Olynyk quickly out. Let's go Detroit first. I highly doubt Hardaway plays. For what it's worth, like he hit the ground so hard that he was in a wheelchair leaving the other night. So we wish him a speedy recovery. Fontecchio, I mean, he played 23 minutes against Miami with Hardaway out. Or no, I guess Hardaway, that's the game that Hardaway left. And then like Fontecchio played good amount of minutes in that game. And then we saw Malik Beasley play 44 minutes against Milwaukee. And I know they played overtime, but I don't think DraftKings priced up Malik Beasley enough for this matchup with Toronto. Obviously, we want to see if Jaden Ivey plays or not. But with Hardaway, Fontecchio out, even if Ivy plays, Beasley's still going to get 35 minutes in this game. Really like Cade. I know you're going to talk about Cade. Really like Cade. And I think Jalen Duren is interesting here. Toronto's been really bad at rebounding to start the season.
So, Stevie, I've probably been undoubtedly the biggest Cade supporter for DFS this season. I've played Cade every slate without fail. And now he's 9,300 with basically limited bodies, and he's facing the Toronto Raptors. Stevie, I'm not sure if people realize Cade put up 71 fantasy points the other night. In the last 5 games, Stevie, 51, 60, 50, 44, 71. If I went to the last 10, it's basically 40s and up. 9,300 might still not. Cade should probably be 10K now, and he's still not 10K. I'm getting more Cade Cunningham today, yet again, Stevie. You've mentioned the others, but Cade should eat again.
For what it's worth, I just looked it up. Toronto allows the most fantasy points per game to opposing centers this year. As far as Jalen Duren is concerned, I think he's back to close to 100%. We saw him play 30 and 36 minutes in back-to-backs. So I think this is a good buy low spot for Jalen Duren. 1.1 rebound away from a double-double the other night against Milwaukee. One bucket away from a double-double against Miami. He's just flirting with that like 35 to 40 fantasy point game. So I think this is a good buy low spot for Jalen Duren. Going to the Toronto side, I mean, still a ton of people out here for Toronto. I saw someone, Andrew in chat, said RJ Barrett bounce back spot. My problem with like RJ Barrett is like he's not scoring like the 30 points a night that we need him to score to get his ceiling. You know, we're seeing Jakob Poeltl produce more. We're seeing Grady Dick produce more. Ochi is producing more. Do we think RJ Barrett has the ceiling at 8,100 to pay off this price tag?
I think he could. I think what keeps me encouraged is no Quickly, no Barnes. So he does have there is a path. So that's what I think has me encouraged. I don't hate him here, but I wouldn't play him in single entry or 3 entry max. I think he's a 20 entry max and up play for what it's worth. So you look at what Poeltl's doing. I mean, Poeltl's been fine, but he's got 40, 50 point upside too. Might as well throw him in a bunch against Detroit. How are they going to – what's Davion Mitchell going to do? Not much. What's Grady Dick going to do? Well, I think he's appropriately priced, Steven. Now, he's got 40 point upside, so I don't want anybody to misunderstand that. He took 20 shots in the Milwaukee game. He's got way more upside than Mitchell, so I'm okay with him. Agbaji obviously has a much cleaner path with some of those bodies left, so I'm fine with Agbaji. But I'm not thrilled about any one Toronto Raptor player.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. I mean, there's a lot of potential. I mean, there's a lot of usage and a lot of minutes to go around with all these guys out. It's just kind of figuring out who you want to play from Toronto. I mean, that's where I'm like struggling. I mean, first lean for me is probably Ochai Agbaji, like just because he's 5,600, so you get the value, and he has shown that he can go for 35 plus. So like I think he is my first, like maybe I play this guy. But like yeah, I mean like Will was saying, if you're playing MME, you're playing 20, 150 entry max type tournaments, you have to get a little bit of exposure to RJ Barrett because he'll have that game where he goes like 30, 10, 10, type of game. So I mean, we've seen it multiple times this year where he's gone for 30 plus
and
points
it is a
and
cup
scored.
Game, so he's going to play.
Yeah, he's gonna. I mean, Toronto's gonna play their guys for sure. So they're so shorthanded, it doesn't really matter. But let's talk about the game of the night. We got Washington at Atlanta, 238 total. Atlanta an 8.5-point favorite. I think there's better actual basketball games, like as far as the actual basketball that's going to be played. But I don't think there's a better DFS spot than this game. I think the pace of this game is going to be absolutely incredible. It's just trying to figure out where all the production's going to come from, because on the Washington side, Bey and Brogdon are the only two out. So Kuzma's back. We talked about that the other day. Came back, played 24 and 25 minutes. And then on the Atlanta side, Bogdanovich and Krejcik are out. So Trae Young is back, which means, that production that we saw the other night and Jalen Johnson getting a gazillion amount of usage. Like, this game is juicy, but Will, we got to kind of dissect it here like we're back in high school, messing with the frog. What do we got?
Good one there. So what I do like about this game is one of Capella and Okongwu is going to have to play. And hear what I'm saying, Stevie. Like,
we'll start with the Washington side.
Dang it. You get me so excited about this game.
I know.
So on the Washington side, we do have Kuzma back. And I figured Kuzma being back would affect some of these guys, because like right now he's just been playing like 25 minutes, which is just kind of eating into guys. But Keyshawn George still has his minutes right now. Coulibaly might be – he's probably priced right for the minutes. I don't know if he's priced right for Kuzma playing and taking away some of his production. But I think in this matchup, it can be worth it. Jordan Poole is 7,400, and he's still taking enough shots to get there. So I like Poole here. And then the Wizards also are like Atlanta in terms of their big men. They've got Sarr playing, mid to upper 20s, and then they're just kind of throwing Valanciunas out here for mid 20s. The other night he goes off for 40. So the same way I feel about the Atlanta side is the same way I feel about the Washington side in terms of their bigs. I think you play Valanciunas and Sarr and run some sort of a split, because one of them could have a big game or neither one of them. I don't think both have a big game, but one could. I think Poole is my main big spin. In the mid-range, in terms of who I feel most comfortable with, is George. And then after that, it's probably Coulibaly, even though he's a little bit more expensive than Carrington because of the minutes.
A lot of talk right here. Like, does Kuzma play big minutes in this game because it's an NBA Cup game? They didn't play an NBA Cup game on Tuesday. Is he back? Is he ready to play big minutes? I think is a great question that we have to kind of, process throughout the day. And with this being an NBA Cup game, does Valanciunas get like 30 minutes in this game? Like, if Valanciunas plays 25 plus minutes, he's one of the best point per dollar plays on the slate.
Always.
So the fact that this is a cup game, I think we have to kind of like have the thought process of, I think we got to play some Valanciunas today, because I mean, he adds the fantasy points up so fast, where if you get like an 18-minute game, he could still go for like 25, 30. So he's not going to kill your lineup, But man, if this is the game that they extend him just a little bit because it's a cup game, oh my gosh, Valanciunas smashes. So I wanted to bring
same
that
thing
up
for Kuzma. I'm glad you brought that up because, and that's the thing, Stevie. Like, I'm so glad you brought that up. Cup, like we saw the other night, this isn't the regular. It is a regular season game.
Oh, teams are taking this 100% serious.
Right.
We saw that already. We already seen all the players talking about how this matters. They all want to win this. Like, money aside, incentive aside, the bragging rights to win this, and the, hey, we already beat you all for a championship one time this year, right? So, I think teams are going to take this, and the players are taking it serious.
Yeah. So I'm saying that to say, all things equal, even if Kuzma plays 32 minutes, Stevie, that's enough in this matchup at 7K.
Right.
Like, I think I still play him. So I'm glad you brought that up just to reinforce that. I think even if Kuzma plays 28 minutes, fine. But I think the 7K is worth the risk if you're mass multi-enter. That's really what I'm leaning to. Thank you, Stevie. Appreciate that.
So my initial thought when I saw this game on the slate, and I was like, oh my God, this game is so juicy, right? My initial thought is, hey, let's take shots on Kuzma and Valanciunas and hope that they get extra run with this being a game, like this being a cup game, and take a step back from all these guys that we've been playing that are priced up a little bit now that Kuzma's back. And just to tell everybody that's not watching the football game, Barkley just got tackled at the 1 again. I think that's 7 times this year Barkley's been tackled at the 1. So crazy. Like, so crazy. Atlanta side of this game, I mean, Jalen Johnson did everything we were hoping that he did the other night against Boston. Triple-double, 60 fantasy points. What an incredible game by him, and what an incredible game from Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels had 50 fantasy points. Like, kudos to those guys. Hat tips. Trae Young's back, though. And Trae Young, I mean, assuming that he comes back and he plays 35-plus minutes, how do we not love this spot for Trae Young?
I mean, look, man, one of the best spots of the year. So, Stevie, realistically, I've been attacking Washington games, Atlanta games, Memphis games, like Chicago games, Utah games. If you've just attacked those games this year, like you've just had a chance to win some tournaments. One, you've given yourself a shot. And we talked about this to kick off the season, Stevie. With DeJounte Murray gone, Trae Young is back to not only picking up big assist numbers, but big scoring numbers. At 9,900, obviously Trae is a guy that I like. The only thing I hate about the situation is DeAndre Hunter is back. And so now this interesting situation with the wings where they've got Shea and they've got Daniels. We'll see how they're going to kind of let that all mesh, because I assume Hunter's coming back to at least 28 to 30 minutes. That's my assumption. We'll see. But I think the odd guy out here, his minutes were down anyway. Is Roddy. Like, I don't even know if Roddy sees the floor. So I just have to assume Young, Daniels, Shea, maybe Wallace doesn't play as much. Maybe Garrison Matthews doesn't play as much. But I think Young, Hunter, Shea, Johnson, and then the two centers are the main focuses for this team, with Trae Young being the leader. And then, like I said, I do want to run the split on Capella and Okongwu, because I think one of those guys could actually have a big game.
I think DeAndre Hunter steps into like Larry Nance's minutes that he's been playing recently. I know Larry Nance has been playing really good, but I don't think they're going to keep playing him. I think that basically we see Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, like you mentioned, the centers, Shea. They're not going to give DeAndre Hunter Shea's minutes. They wouldn't have drafted this kid where they drafted him, and have been. I mean, they're grooming this guy for the future. They're not DeAndre Hunter is great, but he's not the future. So, for me here on Atlanta, I'm going to take shots on Trae Young. I think this is a good spot for Trae. I might even take some shots on Jalen Johnson. He's been playing awesome basketball. So it's kind of my main focus is here. I want to see how the DeAndre Hunter situation kind of shapes up. I mean, he's not played since October 25th. It was like injury plus personal. So we'll see what kind of role he has, but they can just play the two studs from Atlanta in this game. This is a game that I think I'm going to spend up on Atlanta side, play some Kuzma, play some Valanciunas. Chicago at Cleveland, 237 total here. Cleveland a 10.5-point favorite. On the Chicago side, Ball's out. On the Cleveland side, Merrill and Strus are out. So we'll start here with the Chicago side. They play at an incredibly fast pace, but they just played Cleveland the other night. We didn't really see like a big game from most people. What do we like here for the Bulls?
Oh boy, Stevie. You're talking about a matchup with Cleveland. I know this is going to be competitive. I think what I do like is we've seen the price come down on Kobe White. We've seen the price down on Levine. I'm fine with those guys at these prices. Vooch is 7,900. Like, I think that's fair. But I think the main guys are White and Levine here for me in the mid 6K range. Levine's a little upper 6K, and so is White, I guess, because they're past 6,500. But at these prices, Stevie, I think this is fantastic. Even against Cleveland, I think they're a little bit too cheap.
Yeah, chat saying Levine crushed last game. Yeah, he did. Not the game against Cleveland, though. That's the game I was referring to. The game against Cleveland, we saw Kobe White have a really big game. We've seen point guards have good success against Cleveland this year. I think Kobe White is in play for large field tournaments. You know, obviously the rotations are going to be a little bit tighter here. So I like that. I mean, I like that for Chicago. On the Cleveland side, I mean, we just saw Donovan Mitchell absolutely crush this team. I think he had 20 fantasy points in the first 8 minutes of the game the other night against Chicago. I think we go back to him. I mean, this is a really good spot for him. The pace, we talk about the pace all the time. The bigs should both play. I think you could potentially take some shots on Garland or LeVert, but I think this is a Donovan Mitchell game.
Yeah, man. D-Mitch. So the thing I liked about D-Mitch, and we saw this, let's see, what game was that? The past couple games, but mainly in the Chicago game when they faced, that's what I was really getting at. We saw the shot attempt, Stevie, and we saw the pace, and he didn't luck into 36 points. Here's what I mean by that. Chicago is one of those teams where the pace is up. So as a result, a guy like him who they've been able to be a little bit more methodical down the stretch, this just helps him be more productive. You get what I'm saying, Stevie? So at 8,200, I love Donovan Mitchell here, and love the fact that he should have the shot attempts, and if the Bulls can keep it competitive, yet again, I mean, Stevie, this is a 119-113 game. That's pretty good.
That's good for Cleveland.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, and a lot of their games recently have been a little bit more high scoring. So I love this game. I love Mitchell. Darius Garland at 71, I'm perfectly fine with also. I mean, I think that price is very reasonable. You've got LeVert at 5K playing, even in this spot, I'm willing to roll the dice. I think Jared Allen at 6,800 is reasonable. I think that price is very fair for him. So I'm in on this Cleveland team with a few of these main pieces.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have a lot of interest in Mitchell. I could see either Allen or Mobley having big games. I could see Garland having a big game. I mean, they're 13-0, right? Like, Cleveland is just playing incredible basketball to start the season, and Mitchell has set the pace for this team. I mean, this is a guy that is playing really good to start the year, and he has a huge ceiling. So, really like him in this spot. Brooklyn at New York, 215 total. The Knicks a 10-point favorite. On the Brooklyn side, Bogdanovich, Sharp, and Watford out. Claxton questionable. On the New York side, Precious out, Mitch Rob out, and then McBride and Cat questionable. Let's start here with the Brooklyn side of this game. What do we like here for Brooklyn?
Well, I'm close to going back to Dennis Schroeder here, Steve. I'm close. I'm not saying I'm in. I'm saying I'm close in this spot because the price is starting to come back down. You know who else I'm pretty high on this game now that it looks like he's ready to play basketball again? It's Ben Simmons. He's been highly productive over the past couple contests. I'd love to see him get stable between 25 and 28 minutes. If that's the case at 4,800, Stevie, I think it's a great price for a guy who can just come in and stuff the stat sheet. Cam Thomas down to 6,700 also. A guy that his shots have come down over the past couple games, but I mean, he gets back to 20 shot attempts. It's the guy that can score 30. So I'm perfectly fine with him. I do think it's interesting in terms of the Claxton situation because, my goodness, Clowney would probably play 25, 30 minutes in this game. Between 25 and 30, I'd like him.
He'd have to with Cat on the other side.
Yeah. We'll see. Like Dorian Finney-Smith, it looks like he's going to be coming back. So I think that's going to me, who that's going to hurt is the cheap Jalen Wilson play. So I don't think Jalen Wilson gets 25 minutes with him back. I could be wrong, just don't see it. But yeah, so those are kind of the main guys that I like. I know that Zaire Williams has been playing mid-20s minutes, had a nice game against Boston. And I think he's fine at 4,100. But generally speaking, I think Schroeder is a guy I'm kind of being interested in going back to, considering the situation and the game they should be in. But Clowney's absolutely going to be probably close to must-play material if Claxton sits.
Yeah, and I think Williams saw a little bit more production with Ben Simmons out the other night. So I don't know how much I really want to play Williams with Simmons projected back in this game. And Williams had a huge first quarter. I think he had 16 or 17 fantasy points in the first quarter, if I remember correctly. I hate Brooklyn plays so many people that they're really tough to kind of figure out. So I probably take the wait and see approach with the Nets on this slate to see if they do change some stuff because it is the NBA Cup. I like Ben Simmons a little bit. He'd be the one guy that I think I'd take some shots on just because, he could score fantasy points in bunches. But the one thing about Ben Simmons is you could get anywhere from 20 to 27 minutes. Typically we see him roll out for 22 to 27. 25 to 27 is what I think more than likely here in the Cup, but he is dealing with a little bit of a calf issue, but not on the player or not on the injury report at all. So watch the Claxton news. I think that's the biggest one to watch here. I think if Claxton's out, you have to play Clowney. Who else are they going to play against Cat? Going to that side, if Cat plays in this game, he should smash. First of all, Brooklyn's not good against centers. We talked about Toronto. Brooklyn's another team that's really struggled against centers to start the season. I like Karl-Anthony Towns a lot in this game. We saw him put up 70 fantasy points against Chicago, 50 fantasy points against Philadelphia in the NBA Cup game the other night. What are your thoughts here on the Knicks?
My thoughts are I hope Karl-Anthony Towns plays. I actually think he's been spectacular, Stevie, coming over to the Knicks and being highly productive. He's another one. Stevie, he put up 71 points his last start. Who did he face? Oh, the Chicago Bulls. He's been spectacular, man. Just playing really well and put up some nice fantasy scores. So like him a ton. OG has been really good down the stretch also, Stevie. I think there's still a little meat on the bone there for him. So I like what we've been seeing from him. You know who else has been really good? Josh Hart's been good in spurts. Oh, what do you know, Steve? It's the starters. My point is the starters should get it in minutes. And if you want to play them in this spot, Mikal Bridges is 5,800 now. That's way more reasonable. Jalen Brunson is 8,600. Like, these guys are getting big minutes, and he's leaning on them. So take your pick. If Cat is out, like, I think we're going to have another Jericho Sims sighting. He still might go a little small and play some OG at center or hard at center and some of this stuff. But I do think Sims would be in play if he were to sit, because I think Sims would play 20-plus minutes easily. And that's how I feel about the Knicks.
Yeah, so sorry, I got distracted by the Dallas Goedert fumble, but they ended up getting it back, so that distracted me. NBA Cup game. Josh Hart played 37. Karl-Anthony Towns played 38. OG played 40. Bridges played 35. And Brunson played 35. The Knicks, we know exactly what to expect from the Knicks here. They're going to play their 5 guys 35-plus minutes. If this game stays close, they all have upside. I think Josh Hart, OG on the cheap end. I think Towns and Brunson and play on the top end, but I prefer Towns over Brunson. Knicks, one of the easiest teams to break down to start the season because they're just playing their guys. Lakers and Spurs, 226 total here. Lakers a 3.5-point favorite. Hayes, Vanderbilt, and Wood out. Hachimura questionable. And then on the San Antonio side, Sohan and Jones out for San Antonio. Going to the Lakers here first. I mean, we haven't seen the Lakers play an in-season game yet, but I have a hard time not liking LeBron or Anthony Davis. I don't know if I played both of them. I don't think when they are together, you're playing them together. I don't know if they have the ceiling you're necessarily wanting, but yeah, sign me up for some AD or LeBron here. I don't want to play anybody else. Those are the 2 guys I want to play here.
Why has LeBron practically put up 60 fantasy points?
Because he is just incredible. That is why.
Man, unbelievable. At this stage in his career, just, Stevie, this is unbelievable.
It is.
Man, just, I don't think people realize how hard this is. Like, you and I are pretty much in the same age range as LeBron. Like, I think people.
Way to make me feel terrible, Will.
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's about
I'm just kidding.
About his greatness. Like, wow. I mean, I can still hoop, but man, LeBron can still play the NBA. Like, there's a difference. Like,
he's still one of the best players in the NBA.
It's so crazy.
Yep.
It's so crazy. All right, AD's in play, obviously. LeBron's in play. D'Angelo Russell at 5,300. I know that he's had an interesting role with this team, but that's still a little bit too cheap for me. Austin Reeves obviously has been playing really well, but it's the LeBron and AD show for me, man.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk Hachimura sits. Maybe Connect 4 at 3,900. Maybe. Like, he's really cheap. And we kind of already got the scenario of, like, what could happen. We've seen the upside from him. He shot lights out the other night against Memphis. So if Hachimura sits, does Connect move into the starting lineup over, like, a Russell and play 30-plus minutes? So I think that would be something to watch if Hachimura is out here with the illness. But I just want to throw that out there. San Antonio side, dude, Wemby did his thing the other night against Washington. What a game. 29 shot attempts, 50 actual points, 3 blocks, a steal, 2 assists, 6 rebounds. 50 actual points, 72 fantasy points, and didn't have a double-double. The guy is incredibly talented, and here we are in a situation with them in a NBA Cup game at home. I think we see a season high 35-plus minutes tonight from Wemby in this game.
I mean, he's definitely going to play, Stevie, because this cup is important, as we've talked about extensively in some of these spots. I mean, he's 11-1. It took him a couple big games, Stevie, and all of a sudden he got priced up. Meanwhile, my boy Cade Cunningham is putting out 50 every game, and he's at 9,300. I digress. That's just a little joke for the people. I think Wemby's fine. I do think he's going to have to play today because he's going to have to deal with Anthony Davis. Like this isn't a spot where he's going to be, dare I say, roaming as much around the paint, Stevie. He's going to have to guard Anthony Davis, which is going to put some pressure on him in real life. So, I just want to put that out there. Chris Paul started out the season hot. Is still going to have some games at 6,300. I don't think I'm quite there. Devin Vassell's back. I know Castle's been playing. Champagne's been playing. Keldon Johnson's been playing. Harrison Barnes has been playing. The only person I really trust is Wemby. Everybody else is all over the place.
And really quick, didn't mention this the other night, but I wanted to and I forgot, and it's on me. But best wishes and prayers to Popovich, man. Suffered a stroke the other night. One of the best NBA coaches of all time, and man, you don't wish that on anybody. So hopefully a speedy recovery. I don't know if he'll ever coach again, but which kind of stinks for everybody in the NBA because Pop, man, as many Pop jokes as we've made over the years, he's just an incredible coach. So hoping for the best outcome of the stroke recovery for Popovich there. So moving on. We got Clippers at Rockets, 214.5 total here. Houston a 4-point favorite. Kawhi out, Adams questionable. So really both teams full strength going up against each other here. What do you like for the Clippers? Oh, we got the mute.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I was clicking it. That's why you didn't see me going. I was clicking it and saying well at the same time. So
we just saw this game. This game just happened on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. But that wasn't a cup game, Stevie.
That's true.
Full steam ahead. James Harden is 9,500. I don't like this matchup with Houston, but he's still been one of their best players because he's been one of their main star players, so I'm okay with him. Fred VanVleet is cheap enough to keep playing him now. Isn't he, Stevie? 6,600. I think that's cheap enough to keep taking shots. Jalen Green, his price has come down. He's 7,200. I like him. Do we want to? So here's what I think the big question is for me. With the Clippers, and I know I was mentioning Houston guys, but with the Clippers, how do we feel about Powell at 7,100? Being that we know he's going to get it through big scoring games. Because this is a cup game, and he is going to play the minutes. That's what I'm thinking about. I don't think he's the best 7K play. And that's what I'm struggling with, even though it's a cup game, Stevie. What are you thinking about him? Because I do think Zubac is much closer to his ceiling price than Powell is, but Powell's got a much lower floor, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I found it really weird that they benched Harden the other night in this game. I know it was a coach's decision, but they benched him, and I thought it was really interesting. Like Zubac and Harden didn't come back in the fourth quarter in a game that like eventually got pretty close. Like it was a 6-point game with 2 minutes to go. 11-point game with like 6 minutes to go. Like those are the types of like games and close enough games where like you bring your guys back. So I don't know what was behind the coach's decision. I don't know. Listen, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. James Harden with 2 nights in Houston, doing his thing, partying it up, worries me a little bit. But I mean, he had 44 fantasy points and didn't play the fourth quarter the other night. So I think he has a lot of upside. Zubac had 21 fantasy points, didn't play the fourth quarter. I think you look at James Harden. I think you're looking at Norman Powell. And I think you're looking at Zubac here. I don't think they bench people again in this game. Like it was a weird situation. I don't know. Like I kind of found some stuff, but yeah. I read this earlier today. James Harden needs 3 3-pointers in this game to go to tie Ray Allen for second place at all-time 3-point list. So There you go. And if it happens in Houston, it seems very fitting, right? So maybe look at James Harden 3-point props today. What is it? Let's see. Is it 2.5? Are they enticing us with narrative street here, Will? Let's see.
I wonder if they'll do that and give you a boost of some sort, Stevie, because they know the record is coming.
You think they know though? James Harden over 2.5 threes minus 120. I'm in. I'm betting the over on 2.5 threes. I think he's going to try to break the record in Houston or tie the record at least.
Maybe that's why they sat him. They didn't want. I'm just kidding.
All right, you've already hit your 3. Like this guy's hit 3 threes in 3 of his last 4 games. Like why? I'll take the over. I'll play the narrative street. I'll bet some money on that. Why not? But I read it earlier today. I just confirmed to make sure that it was an actual thing. But yeah, he needs 3 threes in this game to tie Ray Allen. That's crazy because Ray Allen, man, that guy could shoot. So, does anybody ever break the record for 3 points? Because how many more years is Curry going to play?
That's the question. So breaking Curry's record, if anybody breaks Curry's record, they're going to be, I mean, Stevie, they're going to have to be like elite. You know what I'm saying? To break his record. Because he's continued, the way he's looking right now, I think Curry's got another strong 2 years for sure. Maybe 5, but I think he's got another strong 2 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that Golden State team looks awesome right now. Saquon just broke another 40-yard touchdown. What? Like, wild, man. Saquon is having an incredible season. Giants fans everywhere are like, what are we doing? Houston side. We talked a lot about the Clippers, got distracted by the 3-point thing for James Harden. Let's talk about the Houston side here. I mean, I think it's, the same guy. I mean, it's Sengun in a game that matters a lot. Does he play like 35 minutes instead of 30? I like the upside here today for Alperen Sengun.
I'm a big Van Vliet guy today because of the price. I'm with you on Sengun. I think this whole Houston team is really priced down. So him, Sengun as example, Van Vliet, I think, are my favorites. I just wish Jabari Smith was playing more minutes at 4,500. He's getting close to us just needing to play him also, Stevie. Tyrese is playing minutes. Thompson's playing a few minutes, or no, not a few, but nice minutes. So I like Houston here, like the piece they have. But if I had to just choose 2, it would be Van Vliet and Sengun, followed by the cheap guys, and then Green for me.
All right, we're moving on. We got Denver at New Orleans, 221 total here. Denver, a 6.5-point favorite. Gordon out, Holmes out, Jokic questionable, personal reasons. New Orleans side, Alvarado, Hawkins, Jones, McCollum, Murray, Zion out. All those guys still out. Let's start here with the Denver side. If Jokic sits, just play Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and don't think twice about it.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know how they're going to handle, in a sense, Peyton Watson if Jokic sits. Like, you know what I'm saying, Stevie? Like, do they roll Peyton Watson out big minutes? I don't know. It feels like they would. Last year, I know they did play a ton of DeAndre Jordan, so and he was very productive. But I'm with you. Going back to Jamal Murray, going back to Michael Porter Jr., Christian Braun could be filtered in because he's still playing big minutes. I think those 3 guys would be pillars of this team if Jokic sits.
Yeah, I mean, if Jokic plays, he's 12K. He could easily crush, but I feel like Denver kind of blows out New Orleans if Jokic plays in this game. So I have way more interest in this game if Jokic sits. If Jokic is out, man, Watson is another guy that I absolutely love here. He's been playing huge minutes with Aaron Gordon out. I like Peyton Watson regardless in this game, but I like him a lot more if Jokic sits because I think he'll have a few extra shot opportunities and rebound opportunities. So awesome game. New Orleans side, I mean, everybody's out. Like Brandon Boston Jr. just kind of keeps doing his thing, but now he's 6,400. Like the price keeps going up. Trey Murphy, 26 minutes in back-to-back games. I don't know if I necessarily want to go there, but I think I want to play Missy again. I took some shots on Missy the other night, 10-10 type of game. I think there's a little bit of upside, a little bit, like you like to say, a little meat on the bone at 5K. What do you like here for the Pelicans?
Man, I'm not really thrilled about the Pelicans, honestly. But I understand they've got guys out. So, like, okay, I wish I knew Tice was going to play 30 minutes. I'd be fine there. I know Robertson Earl is going to play 20-plus minutes. Missy's going to play 20-plus minutes. So, like, I get it. Javonte Green, is he going to play 30 minutes? I don't know. Maybe. Like I said, we know Murphy's back. We know Murphy's going to play some minutes. We know that Boston is going to play minutes here because of this situation. So they have some guys, but I want to play Brandon Ingram because I know he's the number one option. But, like, I'm just not a Brandon Ingram guy, Stevie. And so for me, I think he's priced where he should be. It's probably Boston. It's probably maybe I roll the dice on Javonte because I think those guys are going to play Boston, Ingram, Javonte, Murphy. Mixon's going to play some minutes. It's kind of that group. If Jokic is out, I'm probably more interested. That's basically what it comes down to, I think.
If this game stays close, Brandon Ingram's probably having a big game. I'll just say that.
I know. Yeah.
But I'm with you. I don't play BI as much as I probably should.
Yeah.
He's really good. Like, he's a really good basketball player. Really
Absolutely.
good real-life basketball player. DFS-wise, though, he has to have those games where he puts up like 30 to 35 actual points and still picks up the assists, the rebounds, the stocks. And he's very capable of those type of games. And this is definitely one of those spots with it being a NBA Cup game where you could see, like, BI have, like, this massive game. But, I mean, BI is also getting a little older, too. So
you know what, Stevie, though? Not the more I think about it, we just got to keep saying this to ourselves. It's the NBA Cup.
Right.
It's
I mean, if this game stays close, he plays 40 minutes.
We just got to keep saying it because if not, you don't process it the same way. It's the NBA Cup.
That was our philosophy on Tuesday. I had a great slate on Tuesday. I mean, that's the philosophy that I feel like you have to have. I mean, it didn't look like it was going to be a great slate on Tuesday. It ended up being okay. Phoenix at OKC to finish us out here. This is a huge game. Luckily, it's an 8 o'clock game, but, I mean, this is the game. 225.5 total. Thunder an 8-point favorite. On the Phoenix side, Allen questionable. Beal and Durant out. Nurkic questionable. On the Thunder side, Caruso, Hartenstein, Holmgren, and Jalen Williams out. Let's go here to Phoenix. I mean, obviously, Devin Booker. Right. That's the first statement. Devin Booker. He's going to shoot 25 plus times in this game. That's the first statement. But we get past that and we see Okaji played 28 minutes the other night and he had a really, really stellar game. Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal are out. That is a ton of usage in minutes. And we're going to see Devin Booker's usage go up, but Devin Booker is not going to be able to play like a gazillion minutes. So what are we doing here with the Suns?
Well, we did see the other night, Stevie, as we talked about, Nurkic, had this interesting thing happening. And, lo and behold, Mason Plumlee played and put up a nice score. We'll see what happens with him. Booker. But, it's just too many cheap guys on the Suns. That's really the issue here. Isn't that the issue? Like, there's cheap pieces everywhere. I think we need to be playing all these guys. Like, okay, we've got Tyus Jones. I'm fine with him. Royce O'Neal is 5,600. Maybe he plays 30 minutes now. I think there's too many cheap guys on the Suns. You need to just be filtering them in. You talked about Okaji at 3,800. Like, just filter these guys in, Stevie. One of them, in addition to Booker, should put up a nice game for sure.
I like Booker a lot. They started Royce O'Neal the other night, and I mean, we saw Okaji just play more. I think Ryan Dunn has some upside here. Is he still really cheap?
Yeah, I think it was 3K.
He's 4K. So Ryan Dunn, 28 minutes, he played 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. So I think Ryan Dunn, a lot of upside for Ryan Dunn.
Sorry.
Yeah, so Ryan Dunn started, and he had a stellar first quarter and just couldn't get anything going in the second half. But yeah, I have a lot of interest in him at this price point. Other side of this game, the Thunder. What do we like here for OKC?
Well, as long as these big guns continue to sit, I'm going to continue to play SGA. SGA, shots are up. Obviously, shot attempts are up. Look at the past two games, Stevie, back in the 20s, back to what we were seeing last season. Also, the scoring is up, back to looking like what we were seeing last season. So with Chet playing and Williams playing and them kind of having like a three-headed monster, you saw his scoring take a hit, which is normal for anybody that's got, real help. But now, Stevie, he's back to being the primary. Williams is the secondary. Boy, are these points coming up. And this is a guy that was averaging, I think it was 31 a game, Stevie. Is that what it was, I think, last season? So if he's going to be back in the 30s most games, his fantasy production is only going to increase. So obviously SGA, one of the main pieces there. I don't want to overlook Williams, who's also been fantastic. Like, he's going to be fine. I know Wiggins has been starting to kind of play some minutes. They've been playing Dort. And I think those guys are just okay. They've been playing Isaiah Joe. I think those guys are just okay. But give me all the SGA you can handle in this spot against Phoenix, with them being limited also.
Assuming you haven't looked, do you want to guess what SGA's usage was against the Pelicans the other night?
I have not looked. Give me 40%.
41.7%.
Yep.
And he didn't have to play a lot in the fourth quarter because it was a blowout. Love SGA. I think he's a stellar play. Jalen Williams is balling out right now. He's playing incredible basketball. If you can't make SGA work, play some Jalen Williams. He has over 50 fantasy points in 3 of his last 5 games. He has stepped into, all right, Holmgren's out. I'm going to play, and I'm going to play really well. So they've been playing him a lot at the 5. I don't know how that will look with Nurkic on the other side, but Nurkic is questionable. So if Nurkic is out, this game is going to go small. So be ready for that type of build. Really, really, really like SGA. Really, really, really like Jalen Williams. I think the rest of these guys are fine options. They're nothing like stellar, but they're fine options. Like, probably play a little bit of Wallace and a little bit of Wiggins and stuff, a little bit of Dort, but Joe, like, these guys are all going to play minutes in this game. So I don't necessarily hate it, but I think the guys you're paying up for Williams and SGA in this spot. All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. Favorite play under 5K to go 7X. Who do you got?
Oh, man, Stevie. Ironically, I don't feel like we have as many of those options as we want to have today. But, I mean, if you're going to leave it up to me, man, I'm going to go to a game that I think is going to be back and forth, up and down, and it's a little bit tighter than I think we're thinking. Give me Ben Simmons at 4,800. I like Simmons today.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm going to go back to that last game that we were just talking about. Ryan Dunn at 4K should start, play a healthy amount of minutes here. Obviously have a lot of interest in him. Over 8K to go under 5X. Who's your bust today?
I think the right answer is Joel Embiid at 10K.
think so too. I mean, it's scary because the like type of ceiling that he is capable of. But yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I think that this is tough, tough waters for him. It's more of like minutes and usage than anything else.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna go Brunson just because I think it's a cat game. So give me Jalen Brunson dealing with the ankle injury, probable for this game, but I'm gonna go Brunson as my bust over 8K today. Favorite 6X play.
Got a lot of options. I'm gonna go to my guy. Hasn't let me down too many times this season, if hardly ever. Give me Cade Cunningham at 9,300.
I like it. I'm gonna go to my boy Tyler Hero. He said that he could be your hero, baby. That's what he told me. So give me Tyler Hero with his 30+% usage and no Jimmy Butler here. So I really like him. And a cup game, he's gonna shoot a ton in this game. Favorite GPP ceiling play. Price doesn't matter. Who do you think has the highest ceiling on the slate?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's Trae Young for me against Washington. My gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be a slate breaker.
I don't disagree with you. You obviously worry a little bit about like the injury situation with the Achilles, but yeah, massive ceiling. I'm gonna go to my boy Wemby. Listen, I think he has showed us his ceiling here recently. Over 70 fantasy points in 3 of his last 6 games. Like maybe he gets a few extra minutes with it being NBA Cup too. Like I said, I think he plays a season high 35+ minutes tonight. You give Wemby 35+ minutes, his ceiling's massive. So give me Mr. Wemby here. Who's your Let's Get Weird GPP play of the day?
This one put me in a conundrum, Stevie. But we talked about this guy. It is a good spot. I don't think he's going to get ownership because of the team. Give me Zach LaVine at 6,800.
So one of my favorite large field tournament plays today, I talked about this. I said that I had interest in somebody from the Magic. So one of my favorite large field tournament plays of the day, Jonathan Isaac for the Orlando Magic. Listen, this is a cup game. We blew out Charlotte the other night, but he started to get more minutes, and then he played a back-to-back and played 22 minutes in the back-to-back. If Jonathan Isaac gets 22 to 25 minutes at 3,700, he can add up the stocks, the rebounds, and the points so incredibly fast. I really like Jonathan Isaac. The Magic really like Jonathan Isaac, and the guy is a defensive wizard. He is going to play minutes in this game. It's just whether or not he plays 13 or 20. So one of my favorite large field tournament plays today. I know it's wild, but I really, really like Jonathan Isaac today. And you could play him as power forward center, which is even better. Go to the betting portion of the show. Any bets that you like today?
Yeah, I did have one, Stevie, and it feels interesting, but I'm hopping on it now. Now, this is me banking on somebody from the Knicks not playing, so I want to make that clear. But give me the Pacers minus 4.5 here. Give me the Pacers minus 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I'm going to go to a player prop that I really like today. Try and pull my app back up. Obviously, I like the James Harden one that we talked about, but I like Jalen Duren over 22.5 points and rebounds. I talked about this. Toronto really struggling against centers this year. 36 minutes the other night, 30 minutes in the NBA Cup game. Really like this spot. I think he's just waiting to have like a monster game. So I'm going to go to Jalen Duren to hit this over 22.5 points in this rebounds.
And let me make sure I'm clear. Knicks are playing the Nets, but the Pacers are playing the Heat without Jimmy Butler. Pacers minus 4.5.
Chat, was that Ertz that made that catch? That was. Dude, this guy just keeps doing it, man. Zach Ertz, what an incredible 2-point conversion catch that was right there from Zach Ertz. But anyway, all right, Will, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Negative, brother. I am good to go.
Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. We're back Monday talking hoops. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you then.